That's good.
Yes.
All right. Hi, everyone. We're really excited just to be teaming up and just sharing what we know and our experience when it comes to helping women in the 4th trimester and just what happens after baby is home and how do we navigate and get through this seamlessly so that you are both adapting well to whatever life has going your way. So to start, my name is Dr. Michelle Dougherty of Lifetime Health and Wellness here in Naperville, Illinois, and we have a guest today.
I'm Meg Smith. I am co-owner of Cloud9 Birth Services. I'm a birth and postpartum doula and a childbirth educator also in Naperville.
Awesome, awesome. So for those of you that are tuning in, we just really wanted to take an opportunity to connect with you all. We're not sharing slides this time, but just more to have a conversation about what women are facing. We know that stress comes in many forms.
Right, and that what you said before, the 4th trimester really is something to plan for and something to practice some self-care. So we're wanting to kind of go over some different ways that you can do that.
Yes. So whether you're a first-time mom or a new mom again, this applies to everyone. And we work so hard getting ready for the birth.
Yes.
And then it's like, well, what happens? And especially during the climate that we're in, maybe, you know, you were counting on a parent or, you know, a family member to come help you out. And now maybe that's not possible. So we don't want you to navigate this alone. We know that it absolutely takes a village. And this is the time to really focus inward so you can be the best mom that you've always dreamed of being. So we wanted to first just uncover, you know, the 3 forms of stress that exist, both from a mom perspective and a baby perspective. So you're going to hear from a chiropractic lens, you know, from someone directly in the birthing world, like right there, and, you know, just what that all means. So first with the physical stress of mom. We're having a baby.
Right. And so I wanted to say one thing you had said before about, you know, kind of preparing for the postpartum period. When I did my postpartum training years ago, the instructor said that sometimes we treat labor and delivery as like the wedding. And we need to focus also on the postpartum period because that's like the marriage. That's like the time afterwards where things, it's a little raw, it's a little new, and we've got to kind of navigate that. So that's what we're trying to kind of help you think about beforehand or think about as you're kind of going through that 4th trimester, the postpartum period.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about?
Yeah. So obviously, as you moms know, your body's changing every single week and you are having to adapt to these changes. And we know that postural changes are happening and everything, all the weight is happening in the lower half. So the uterus, the pelvis, that pubic symphysis, that's where all of that stress and tension go. So it's throwing your center of gravity off. And then depending on the position that you labor and have your baby, or maybe you've had a C-section, or maybe you had an episiotomy, like there's a lot of physical stresses that your body is having to navigate through in the days and weeks following. So it's so important to get checked and follow up with a provider that specializes in postpartum care, because we just assume everything is just gonna go back to how it was.
Right.
And that does not.
Right. And there is, you know, like you said, if you have a longer labor, if you have different positions that you push in that put more stress on your body, if you have a cesarean delivery, if you have excuse me, if you push for quite a while and then you have a cesarean delivery, all of those factors play into how you're, you know, like you said, the positional physicality of your birth and postpartum period. I also think that one thing that we don't necessarily think about too much is when you're holding the baby, when you're nursing the baby, you're leaning over, you are in different positions, you're trying to sleep while you're trying to nurse while the baby's sleeping and your baby's sideline, that type of thing. So all of those come into the stress on your body.
Absolutely. It shifts from down here to like up in here. And then we have the mom spot. We see that commonly with our moms that are coming to us days and weeks after having a baby, where, as she's saying, you're more hunched and, you know, you haven't been used to doing this, or maybe it's been a few years. So all of these things to take into account, because the more that that's happening and you couple that with sleep deprivation and it's hard. It's hard, as she was saying, it is raw in the very beginning, and the last thing you want is to feel like you're a failure or that you're all alone. Those are probably the worst feelings that you can have at that point.
Right.
But yeah, the physical stresses and shifts that happen, one of the best things that you can do is take advantage of that relaxin hormone that is still in play in the 4th trimester, and in trying to get things in their proper alignment, because then things are communicating better and your body heals and recovers better from whatever type of birth that you have. And so how about for baby? So physical stresses on baby.
So definitely, as baby is navigating through the birth canal and twisting and turning, there's a lot that goes on with their, and I'm sure you can speak to that much more than I can, but a lot that goes on with their spine and their necks. And sometimes there might be shoulder dystocia. There might be, where the baby gets stuck. There might be where the baby is, one thing I've noticed with clients is if you hold the baby in the same position and the baby is always looking at you, sometimes the baby only turns only turns one way. So what's that called? Flex?
Like torticollis?
Torticollis, yeah. And so so the baby needs to work on having strength on both sides. So when I have postpartum clients, and especially, it's maybe not the first week or so, but 2 or 3 weeks into it, I'll make sure that I'm having the baby kind of follow me both sides so that he or she is stretching that neck and working both of those muscles before tummy time is introduced.
Yeah, and that's a great first indicator if you have some stress on the nervous system and on that neurology, because depending on what position they were in utero, that can play a role. And then also if they're getting, pulled out, or however the case may be, or if they've had the cord wrapped around, that's another big physical stressor that we see. So moms will report too that, as they're getting postpartum care, that baby is able to latch from both sides. And then we know that the plumbing is improved and, things are draining properly. So absolutely, as parents, you're going to know your kid the best, better than any doctor, practitioner, provider out there. So you want to pay attention to those cues versus just like, oh, there's a head tilt. But we know over time those patterns are getting wired into their neurology, and then that can create other challenges, in the future. So that's a big one for baby. And then I'm going to hop into emotional stress, because it's there. It is what it is.
And that's where I can speak a little bit too, is from a postpartum doula perspective, I definitely think that moms have hired us, I would say in years past, to have that support there, to be someone to come in and have non-judgment and help them feel reassured as a new parent. And I definitely would say in the last 6 months, 7 months, it has changed because of COVID and the pandemic. Like you mentioned earlier, you may not have family that can come in, or family that early, 6 months ago, family couldn't fly. Now they can fly in quarantine for 2 weeks, but earlier, there was no one else that could come in and help you with the baby. So we definitely saw a huge shift in our postpartum care, with people just wanting us just to come in and have some rapport, some company, because it can be very isolating. It can be very isolating being a new parent, but also during a pandemic where you've got to limit the amount of visitors. I think that I see that opening up a little bit more. But, having a postpartum doula come in and provide that support and that reassurance, I think that's really just what people are looking for, is just to have, you're doing it right. Used to, and I say used to, not like in the olden days, I mean like 6 months ago, right? You could have mom, aunt, best friend come over, and now that's a little bit different. Again, I think it's shifting a little bit more. I think, bubbles are opening up a little bit. But having someone there to provide that care and kind of
non-judgmental care too.
Exactly.
You guys are fantastic.
Thank you. And we're there because we know that it might be your first baby. It might be your fourth baby. Excuse me. I think I was sharing a story where I had 2 postpartum clients that I was working with. And the first one was a brand new mom, and, no one could come and visit. And so I went over and was working with them. And then the next one was a 4th-time mom, where her older daughter was e-learning. So she needed some help with the baby and that type of thing. So there's a lot of different ways that we can provide support.
Yeah, I think that's great. And just echoing off of just that new mom stress, or again, new again mom. If you have a toddler and then you have another new one and you don't have the support from the outside, let's say, is you are constantly questioning, are you doing it right? Are you, failing? But the other thing is then the mom guilt of leaving other people behind that you really care about. So it could be your significant other, it could be your other children, it could be your friends, you feel like you're neglecting them. And in this mode, I mean, you probably see this too, where moms put themselves last. They figure if they are showing, if they're, all about baby, that they are being the best mom. But what we know is you can't pour from an empty cup.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. Exactly. Yeah. You've got to practice self-care where you're taking care of yourself, whether it's a little thing like going for a walk. And I know I find clients that it's so far out of their thoughts, just getting out of the house and getting some fresh air. I'm not talking about packing everybody up and going, for a Target run, just taking a little walk. And certainly right at, the first week or so after having a baby, you've got to be careful with limiting your exercise, right?
Right.
But after that, just getting out and getting some fresh air, going for a little walk, or putting the baby in the stroller or car seat, or baby wearing, and then just sitting on the front steps.
Yeah.
And just, getting some fresh air really does make a difference. Or maybe some neighbors walk by and you have little conversations here and there. It really is, it's quite helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though the weather's getting cooler, bundle up, but there's nothing that beats, getting that fresh air and just that time away. Like just being outside is just a little change of scenery, and that may be enough, to help you through even just the day. I mean, I know we joke about like, hey, it's a bonus if we get a shower in and different things like that. Your main objective is to keep this baby alive and try not to lose it in the process. So the one thing I also wanted to share is just from our lens is, when you get adjusted, you're literally activating the calming side of the nervous system. So when the calming side is kicked in, that fight or flight response is able to recede a little bit. I mean, our bodies were designed to be able to go into fight or flight mode, but short term, right? Not just ride that wave and stay up there. So with a lot of our postpartum moms, the common thing we get is they feel more calm by the time they get home, and it gets them out of the house once a week. And they, they see people that know their name and that they just feel comfortable and like family. So for many, we're seeing them a lot, and especially postpartum doulas, we're seeing these postpartum women pretty frequently, before they get the all clear, possibly from their OB or midwife.
Yeah. And I find, that certainly as, typically we'll do a postpartum shift where I go maybe 2 or 3 days a week. And so clients really start to look forward to that. Yes. They really start to plan their weeks around. Are they going to go grocery shopping? Are they going to take a nap? Are they going to take a shower? Are they going to go get their eyebrows done or get a cup of coffee? Something like that, where they can plan on it. And they know, just like you said, it rises the feeling of wanting to go out and interact with other people and feeling excited about that. And that little things like that make a huge difference.
Yes. And it's baby steps. You don't have to feel like you got to do it all, but you need to start somewhere, right? So chemical stress, for many moms, they're just getting through, maybe it was an emergency C-section, and maybe they were completely put under general anesthesia, or maybe they're still working through the effects of the epidural or Pitocin. This includes baby too. It's got to work through their system. So when we have different types of stress, and again, there's a time and place for it all, it's just more for the body to process, and it can kick both mom and baby into fight or flight mode. And that can increase anxiety and postpartum depression. I mean, it's a real thing, but again, that mental emotional support is important.
Yes, we definitely have some clients who reach out knowing in their pregnancy or before pregnancy that they've dealt with anxiety or depression, and worrying that might be a situation once they have the baby. We also have clients who suffer, like I said, with postpartum anxiety, postpartum OCD. So like you said, there's definitely the chemical changes, and having some support there definitely helps with that feeling. I had one client who felt like she wanted me to kind of come in, and she had other kids and the baby. And she just kind of wanted to come in and have things organized, because with the kids, with, you know, maybe some e-learning from home or play dates or, you know, things like that, scale down play dates, right?
Right.
Having things neat helps her feel more relaxed.
Yes.
And so there are just little things like that that we can do as postpartum doulas to kind of help out as well. Because I do think, and I think I heard something lately that there was, with COVID-19, that we're all suffering from a little bit of simmering anxiety.
Simmering anxiety.
Right? Like it's there and it can bubble up, or it can just kind of stay simmering, but there's some things that can just kind of push you over the edge a little bit, right? And I think that new moms are prone to that, because their hormone levels are trying to equal out, and they're trying to come back, because as you have the baby, once your placenta comes out, the placenta for 9 months has taken over production of the progesterone.
Yep.
And so as your body is healing from that, it takes a couple of weeks. Some people do placenta encapsulation to aid with that process. Some people feel that, you know, just kind of getting as much rest for sure and eating healthy and that type of thing will help with those hormone levels evening out. But it's definitely, like you said, it's definitely something to take into consideration.
Well, we definitely had the same thoughts, because I was just gonna echo the fact that when those hormones drop abruptly and you're not getting sleep, you know, think about that. That taxes those adrenal stress glands. And so when baby comes out, that placenta is coming out, that progesterone is dropping, the stress hormones that have been built up all that time, everything is getting not yanked out, but you know, it's leaving your system. And you know, not that we need to get into placenta encapsulation, but we have a lot of people that do it just to help with that. And it's been great, especially if you are going to be going back to work in 8 weeks or whatever the policy is at your place of employment. But that could generate anxiety too. It's like you're just starting to bond with this baby and feel like you might have your stuff together a little bit. And then the script gets, you know, flipped again. So having these things in place is great. There's lots of mom groups. There's a lot of like crowdsourcing of information and providers. So
and there's a lot of resources online too, especially now because of the pandemic. But I found that a lot of my clients would benefit from Facebook groups, or you know, connecting with people virtually, or Zoom chats just like this, or you know, FaceTiming with other people. That's definitely one of the things that I would say. We'll get to that in a few minutes of the top, you know, our top self-care tips, but definitely is being social, talking with other people, reaching out, making some connections with, you know, with other people that can support you and can help you, whether it's with breastfeeding, just new mom, general questions, baby care, things like that. I definitely think that that's an important thing to plan for.
I think so too. And then just thinking about, okay, so chemical stress, right? Just in general, having stress in your system that can affect your milk production. And if you are getting ready to go back to work and you're stressing about that, or you are at work and you don't have, you know, proper pumping breaks or whatever, you can find that production goes down. That should be your signal. Check in with yourself. How can we counterbalance, you know, some of that stress, so that if that's important to you, whether it's to pump or nurse on demand or what have you, that you're able to do it. So again, going back to how can you keep that nervous system calm so it can do what it's designed to do, because ultimately one of the signs of health is how well your body adapts. And so we have scanning technology to be able to check baselines and help people navigate. But those are big things. So just like the head tilt or rotation in your baby, if that milk production is going down, that's a prime indicator for sure. Let's see here. So we should probably just get into the 4 tips here. And just knowing that, sorry, we're just trying to navigate technology. Right over here is how to reduce stress for you and your baby is 1, be vulnerable, ask for help. You know, we all are trying to be super moms, super women. I think just growing a human and, you know, in your body is already superhero status as it is. But we've been kind of threading this in about just use the resources, reach out to people that you trust that can help guide you in the right direction.
Yeah, I feel like there's, from my perspective, there's kind of two different ways that you can go about asking for help. Obviously, you can hire postpartum doulas, right? We can come in, you can plan for that. But also reaching out to family. You know, I myself am a grandmother, and I know that anytime they ask me for help, I would love to help. But sometimes we feel like we have to do it all. We have to do it ourselves. If you reach out for help, it's showing that you don't know what you're doing, or that someone's going to judge when they come in and the house is a mess and you just need some help. And sometimes that may be the case, but most times people just want to come in and help. If, you know, when my kids were young, if I had a girlfriend that would call and say, it's been a day, can you just come over? Of course I would come over and help out. And I think that that's huge, is to reach out to people that you know that you can trust, or people that have maybe someone who has experience with breastfeeding, or if you choose not to breastfeed, someone who can help you with bottle feeding, or a pediatrician who can recommend how much formula for the baby to have. Because some people do choose to bottle feed, some people want to pump and feed from a bottle, or just formula feed, and whichever way us as postpartum doulas, no matter which way you choose to feed your baby, is perfect for you. And so just having some support with whatever way you choose is important. Yeah,
absolutely. We're going to move into self-care. Again, we've been threading this throughout, but you got to take care of yourself, mama. You got to start. It starts with you. What did they say when we're eventually all able? I know we can get on planes now, but I mean, you know, you got to put your own oxygen mask on first so you can assist others, including your kids. And again, we think it's selfish, and it's really backwards. It's the opposite.
Right.
But we get into our own heads, and when we're stressed, we don't think as clearly. And we know that, I mean, if you need to call on a friend, call on your doula, you know, just to give you just that little bit of time to reset, you know, so however that looks for you, but just making sure that you have the support around you so that, again, you can step into the role that you've always wanted to and be able to navigate it like a boss.
Exactly. And just, you hit the nail on the head. The more that you feel that you are in control of kind of what is going on, the better that you can feel that you're helping everyone else. And so if you are practicing self-care, again, if you are going to get some fresh air, if you are letting your partner or a family member or a friend sit with the baby while you take a nice, warm, long shower, that would feel fantastic. If you put the baby in the car and go grab a coffee, if you know, there's so many different things that you can do, little things each day to just check back in with yourself, take a minute, catch your breath, and then get ready to handle what's going to come in the afternoon. Because, you know, there's ebbs and flows as the day goes on, and just when you have a minute, or take a nap, that's a lovely thing too, is if someone comes over, don't feel like you have to necessarily entertain. Someone comes over when you have a new baby, they want to see the baby, they want to see you, but they would also love to snuggle that baby and help you while you take a nap or a warm shower or something like that. So definitely take people up on their offer, but also, again, practice that self-care.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to move into just trusting your mama gut instincts. You know, you may not feel like you have it if you're a first-time mom. Wait, you know, I think the more that we listen to it, the more that we're going to hear it. And there's a gazillion books out there. There's a gazillion people that are going to tell you what they think you should do. But one, if you're well rested, you're making yourself a priority, you're listening to those instincts, you're going to know what's going to be best for you and baby. It may not be cookie cutter according to the book, because again, no one comes with a manual, but we are still searching for it, and you can stress yourself out doing that. So you need to do what feels right, but call on those resources.
I definitely, when I have postpartum clients who are new, it's definitely feels like it's new parents that sometimes are a little bit nervous about, like I recently had a couple where they wanted me to help with the first bath. And I think I've had that quite a few times. And it's just that the initial feeling of, okay, the baby's slippery, and how am I going to hold the head, and how am I going to submerge him in the water? And it's really very easy, right? You just need someone to say, yes, you're doing a great job. Or what, try the washcloth like this and that, or you know how to wash a baby. It's like, it's not much harder than washing a dish, right? It's really not. It's not that much harder. But you also, what I say to clients is, just like you said, no one comes with a manual. This is your baby. This is your family. What you guys decide to do in the four walls of your home is right for you. So just figure it out as you go. And sometimes you might nail it and you're like, yes, I rock that. And then sometimes you're like, I can't believe I just tried that because that did not work. I still do that as a postpartum doula sometimes with clients. So it's just all trial and error and seeing what works for you and establishing a routine at some point.
Yeah. When you were talking about the bathing the baby, it just made me think of, like, do you guys remember when you drove on a highway for the first time, right? Compared to maybe the 100th time, or you attending your first birth.
Exactly.
And so I think people like need to see a calm person doing it and just being like, it's kind of like an older sibling, you know, kind of teaching the younger sibling. Like that's just what it is. And repetition. And that's exactly, by the way, how your neurology works, is timed repetition to undo old patterns and establish some good ones. So it really takes us to our last point, and it takes a village. You know, we're fortunate to be part of so many moms tribe, you know, especially postpartum. And we know that if we have a calm mom, a healthy mom, a mom who's able to adapt to the stresses of life, baby who feeds off of mom's energy and hormones too, is that they're going to be less stressed, which means they sleep better, they're less colicky, they have fewer digestive issues, they're not as refluxy or constipated and those types of things. And those are probably the most common struggles that we see in infants coming into our office every day.
Yes, I would definitely agree. I think that, you know, like I had said before, with kind of tying it into asking for help, is it does take a village, and we all want to help each other. We all want, you know, we as postpartum doulas want you to succeed. I recently had a client who, when we were initially talking about how many hours I was going to work, we were talking about care for 3 months. And 3 weeks in, we were texting and we're talking, and she's like, you know what, I think I've got it. I think I'm okay. And that's what we want to see. Of course, I was, you know, loving getting to know their family and that type of thing and enjoying it. But that's what we want to see. We want to see people feel successful and feel healthy and feel strong and reassured. And that's where you can get that from your tribe, from the village of, whether it's, you know, healthcare workers, whether it's friends, family, just figuring out who those people are that are going to be supportive for you. And I definitely think that that's maybe one good thing that's come from the pandemic is, you know, spending time with people who you really trust and that you know are going to support you and care for you when you're having to kind of pare down a little bit who you're seeing out in public.
Yeah. Obviously, those are all like fantastic points. I don't think I could have said any of that better, but I mean, we want to empower moms because you do have this. You need to believe that you have it and just trust yourself. And we just want nothing more to be able to support the community, both of us, and we have a network of people that we're connected to. So please reach out if you have any questions whatsoever. We'll have links to our information down below, but don't hesitate to ask questions, send us a private message, reach out in any way, shape, or form. This is why we do this, because we understand you can feel like you're on an island, but know that you don't have to.
Absolutely. And don't feel like, oh, you know, I wonder if I don't want to reach out because I wonder if they've never heard of this, you know, situation that I'm dealing with before. I'm nervous about, you know, revealing this or having someone come into my home. And that's what we're here for. We are here, again, to provide non-judgment, non-judgmental care, whether it's, if you are on your last, if just you've had it and you need some help, we are there. If you're feeling like, okay, I got this, but it could use a little bit of a buoy, okay, we're there for that too. And then, of course, you know, we want to get you to the point where you are feeling successful and that you are feeling that you've got it. And I think we all feel as moms every day, sometimes you're like, yes, I've got this. Today is great. Or, you know what? I'd just like to go to sleep.
I need a do-over.
Let's do a do-over, right? Let's do a mulligan today. Let's start over again tomorrow. And the beauty of that is there is always tomorrow. You can always start over again. You can wrap it up for the day, stop, and then, you know, start again tomorrow. And that's, you know, again, kind of what we're here to provide is whether you need different networks in the community or different care providers in the community. We definitely, like Michelle had said, we have that that network that we can you know, connect you with pretty much any service that you would need. We have resources for that.
Yes. And with that, that is a wrap. Thank you for joining us and tuning in, and we look forward to hearing from you all. Take care.
Bye. Thanks
Bye.
for your time.